Hello and welcome back to my show. I hope you're all well. Let's get to the news. I want to let you know there's nuggets on Bitcoin and other things that you might want to stay on for the duration of the ride so you can figure out what those are because, like they say, knowledge is power. So let's get to it. I was reading an article on Gold Money Insights where the title was The Coming Oil Shortage Part 1, where they explain to us that there are three factors that drive gold prices. One is central bank policy, number two, central bank inventory, and number three, long dated energy prices. As far as central bank is concerned, that part, they said that the central bank is a net buyer of gold, meaning they sell more gold. They buy more gold than they sell. Okay, so let's go to long-term oil prices or longer dated energy prices, where they said that today, this is because of the COVID shutdown, that their longer dated energy prices or oil prices in this case have been shot down, and it gave less of an incentive for oil companies to make more future oil production, right? So this drove the prices of gold down. If you go back to my video yesterday, a financial strategist, had said that this is the time to be buying gold, and this is probably the reason for it, because if you go back to the GFC, more information, this article I will definitely put in the description also, you can take a look at it for your own two eyes and for yourself. If you go back to GFC between 2003 and 2008, you'll notice that there was a decline in oil production, which was down to 3 million barrels a day. And then during the COVID shutdown, it was a 20% decline in oil production or global oil production, which was at around 20 million barrels a day. 20 million barrels of oil decline per day. So that is why they're probably saying that gold prices are undervalued, underrated, and now is the time to buy them, because once that oil production surges, it's gonna give oil companies more of an incentive to have future oil production back up, and that will drive gold prices skyrocketing off the charts. Okay, let's go to the next thing I want to talk about. We're going to now talk about Bitcoin or centralized bank digital currency. Powell spoke about it, that they're seriously investigating that to get that underway. So that is inevitable. So the article I read was from the American Institute for Economic Research, and the title of the article was "Make No Mistake, Programmable Digital Currencies Are Weaponizable Money." Okay, so he talks in there, the author, his name is Peter Earl. I'll also put a description of the article in the description aisle. He basically was saying that could it be that the government can, if you don't do a mandatory vaccination, mandatory voting, insurance coverage, if you don't consume enough of a certain commodity or that kind of thing, that they can rig your digital currency account and make it accelerate in the loss of purchasing power. So let me, from his words to you, I'm going to say it. The article, he says, could this digital currency not be used as an intermediate form of a fine for misdemeanors or other legal sanctions? Rather than forfeiting a lump sum, a violator's account balance could be rigged for an accelerated loss of purchasing power, punishing wrongdoers, virtuously afflicting the health of their bank balance, he says, while supporting the economy and fostering economic growth. And he goes to what I just said about the mandatory. He says they could be done from mandatory insurance coverage to getting vaccinated, to compulsory voting, to be enforceable under the threat of individually targeted monetary penalties, to failure to consume certain goods. Now, while we are on decentralized or centralized digital currency, let's go to Bitcoin for a minute, where there are supporters of it that they believe that this is actually a decentralized currency, Bitcoin, and a way from government regulation, right? So speaking of that, we talked about another article, or in my past videos, how other financial strategists are saying that they could take this Bitcoin, which they think or believe is decentralized, and make it a centralized currency. And we spoke about that. They could do heavy capital taxes on it. They regulate the grids, the networks, the critical infrastructure that is required for Bitcoin mining. Hint, hint. And that's the government regulating it. And not to mention, when you put your Bitcoin on the exchange, you do a fractional reserving. You fractionally reserve your Bitcoin out on the exchange. If for any reason there's a bust, you lose your Bitcoin. So keep those in mind. And there was a major supporter or backer of Bitcoin. His name is Nassim Taleb. He recently came out in an article in CNBC where the author, or the title is, he's the author of Black Swan. And the article headline says, Black Swan author calls Bitcoin a gimmick, a game, and says it's a Ponzi scheme. So, like I said before, I will put that into the description aisle so you can read it for yourselves. So you might want to tread carefully with the Bitcoin. On to other things. Now, with the surge of demand for lumber and the shortage of it, this Zero Hedge reported a headline. That's how crazy the market is. A virtually unheard of trade spotted in lumber, where they say that increasing amount of home builders want lumber, and how one U.S. East Coast lumberyard is selling their lumber to a Arkansas lumberyard. They say the prices are the following: $1,500 per 1,000 square feet, where in March 2020, it was $900 per 1,000 square feet. So sawmills can't keep up with the lumber orders. And on to the final thing. The media is concealing 3 major crises in America, faced by Americans, where Professor Galloway from No Mercy, No Malice, his article, 3 threats the U.S. media is concealing from us. And he says number 1 is virgin homicide, where he says that 45,000 boys or men fail to successfully graduate from high school or college, where they were 2 times more to overdose than females. They were 3 times likely to be arrested, and they have a greater opportunity of committing suicides versus their female peers. And they also talked in there about 20-somethings spending an average on 3 hours on social network apps, where 71% of them live at home. And number two is crypto assault on the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar accounts for 59% of global foreign exchange reserves, while only 16% are accounted for GDP, global GDP. They say in here, the author, that if Bitcoin dominates the currency, the dollar's role for world stability will be, quote, dramatically undermined. That's Galloway saying that. And number 3, he says, is obesity. He says it's a public health crisis. In 2016, he says the U.S. spent an estimated $480 billion on obesity-related costs and $1.24 trillion in direct work loss costs. Today, 42% of Americans are obese, and the CD estimates that being obese triples your odds for COVID hospitalizations, while 88% of COVID deaths in 2020 occurred in populations where half of the population were obese. Now, that's all the information I have for you. Wealth of knowledge. I hope it helped you get in line with current events, what's going on. Thank you for watching, your support, subscribing, liking, and I look forward to having more content for you tomorrow or the day after. Please be safe, protect yourselves, and God bless you guys. Bye.